transition, especially within the context of oil and gas sector and how that sector is moving towards the transition into the sustainability era. We do have a parallel session later on at 5, but now we will hear some keynote session under the theme of From Ambition to Action to Impact, Accelerating Sustainability in the Energy Sector. This keynote session will be delivered by Mr. Brian Sullivan, the Chief Executive Officer of Ipieca. Mr. Brian Sullivan has joined Ipieca as the CEO since 2011 and has overseen the growth of the association and leads their contribution to the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. And for those of you who may not be familiar with Ipieca, and Mr. Brian will, of course, talk about Ipieca later on in greater detail, but Ipieca is the Global Oil and Gas Association for Advancing Environmental and Social Performance, established in 1974 at the request of the UN Environmental Program. Therefore, without further ado, let's welcome to the stage Mr. Brian Sullivan. Please, Mr. Brian Sullivan.
Colleagues, partners, it's a privilege to stand before you to talk to you today, and I'd like to thank the ASEAN Centre for Energy for the invitation. So, as mentioned, I'm Brian Sullivan, CEO of Ipieca. We're the Global Oil and Gas Industry Association, committed to driving our sector's contribution to a truly sustainable world. Our members produce over half the world's oil and gas and an increasing share of renewable energy. And together, we're shaping a sustainable world aligned with Ipieca's scope, which is defined by a stable climate, flourishing biodiversity, and thriving communities that respect the needs of generations to come. Sustainability isn't just about solving the climate problem. It's about looking at everything in a holistic way, covering nature and social issues as well as economic issues, of course. So today I want to show you how our industry is not just talking about change, we're making it happen, moving from bold ambitions to real action, and most importantly, to measurable impact. But let's begin by looking at the sheer dynamism of ASEAN's energy landscape. The region is a powerhouse for growth and innovation. Energy demand here is surging, up 3% every year, and by 2050, nearly 800 million people will call this region home. That's a massive challenge, but it's also an extraordinary opportunity. Since 2005, ASEAN has slashed its energy intensity by 24%, a testament to relentless efficiency gains, and renewables now power more than 15% of the region, and that number is climbing fast as countries invest in solar, wind, and hydropower, among other things. So if you look at Vietnam, for example, it's now a solar powerhouse with over 16 gigawatts of solar capacity installed since 2019, one of the fastest expansions on the planet. Thailand's wind sector is also taking off, helping to drive regional clean energy targets. Indonesia, Malaysia, and the Philippines are all scaling up their renewable ambitions and investing also in geothermal, hydro, biomass. And these achievements prove that when governments, industry, and communities unite, rapid progress isn't just possible, it's inevitable. But let's not forget, this transformation is more than the numbers. It's about lighting up homes, powering businesses, and creating opportunities for millions. It's about ensuring that every child in ASEAN grows up with access to clean, reliable energy and a healthy environment. And that's the future we're building together. But it has its challenges, one of which is methane. So methane is a formidable foe. It's 84 times more potent than CO2 over 20 years and responsible for about 20% of human-driven climate change. In 2023, the global energy sector released nearly 120 million tons of methane. That's enough wasted gas to power the UK, where I come from, for months. But here's the good news. The International Energy Agency says we can cut 40% of these emissions at no net cost, simply by fixing leaks and using existing technology. And as an industry, we're rising to the challenge. Looking around the world, ADNOC in the United Arab Emirates has slashed its methane emissions to just 0.15%, aiming for near zero by 2030. Petronas in Malaysia, PTT in Thailand, and Pertamina in Indonesia are deploying cutting-edge infrared cameras and continuous monitoring to catch leaks early. Equinor in Norway has driven methane intensity down to less than 0.02% on its operated assets. Many leading companies have joined the OGCI Aiming for Zero Methane Emissions pledge, collectively reducing upstream methane emissions by 55% since 2017. And across the globe, drones, sensors, collaborative initiatives are transforming methane management from a problem into a showcase for innovation. And what's truly exciting about these efforts is that they're sparking new partnerships and new business models. In ASEAN, local companies are teaming up with global partners to deploy advanced monitoring, train the next generation of engineers, and share best practices. It's not just about compliance, it's about leadership, innovation, and pride in delivering cleaner energy for all. So decarbonisation is now at the heart of our sector's strategy. Today, 78% of Ipieca member companies have set net zero ambitions for their own operations by 2050, and nearly half have signed the Oil and Gas Decarbonisation Charter, which covers flaring, also covers flaring and methane and net zero aims. Globally, over 60 oil and gas companies have made net zero pledges, many extending their targets to include Scope 3 emissions. A headline example is Shell, which is aiming for net zero across all scopes by 2050, investing heavily in renewables, hydrogen, and carbon capture. And in the Netherlands, they run Europe's largest green hydrogen plant. Total Energies is advancing CCUS projects and building massive solar and wind farms. India's Reliance Industries is building one of the world's largest integrated renewables complexes, targeting 100 gigawatts of solar by 2030. And ExxonMobil's Labarge facility has captured over 7 million tonnes of CO2, and new CCUS hubs are springing up across the world, including in this region. And our members are not just decarbonising their own operations, they're helping customers in hard-to-abate sectors like steel, cement, aviation, and shipping. Shipping being particularly relevant this week, given the meetings going on about the IMO net zero framework in London. It's a big week for shipping emissions. From sustainable aviation fuels to CCS hubs, we're supporting a wider energy transition with real solutions. Adding to these landmark initiatives, Petronas, for example, has recently announced the commencement of locally blended sustainable aviation fuel, marking a significant step forward for Malaysia's green ambitions. The new sustainable aviation fuel, produced at its refining and blending facilities, is set to supply both domestic and international airlines operating in the region. And this move not only supports the decarbonisation of the aviation sector, but also strengthens local supply chains and positions Malaysia as a key player in the transition towards cleaner air travel. And let's be clear, this is not just about technology, it's about vision, courage, and collaboration. It's about setting ambitious targets, holding ourselves accountable, and inspiring others to join us on the journey to net zero. The world is watching, and ASEAN is ready to lead. But as I mentioned, sustainability isn't just about climate action. Protecting biodiversity is now a core imperative, aligned with the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. Around the world, energy companies are integrating biodiversity action plans, nature-positive project design, and partnerships with conservation groups into their operations. Repsol in Spain is restoring habitats and supporting wildlife. Equinor's offshore wind farms are sited to minimize marine impact with rigorous environmental assessments. Chevron is restoring mangroves in Indonesia, while Shell and Petronas are working with NGOs and local communities to rehabilitate wetlands and peatlands. And these efforts show our commitment to nature-positive outcomes and global conservation goals. But we can go further. So imagine every new energy project in ASEAN designed not just to minimize harm, but to actively restore and enhance local ecosystems. Imagine energy corridors that double as wildlife habitats, solar farms that support pollinators, and offshore platforms that become havens for marine life. This is the future we must strive for, where energy and nature thrive together. At the recent Energy and Nature Forum, I don't know whether any of you came here, but it was held here in Kuala Lumpur back in June. Industry leaders, policymakers, and environmental experts gathered to advance the dialogue on integrating sustainable energy solutions with biodiversity conservation. The forum showcased innovative projects, cross-sector collaborations, regional and extending material life cycles. Ipieca and the Energy Institute have developed sector-specific circular economy indicators, guiding companies to measure and improve operational circularity. Shell's North Sea operations reuse drilling fluids and recycle metals. Total Energies is piloting plastics recycling, aiming to reprocess over 100,000 tonnes of polymers annually. Chevron recycles wastewater, and Equinor's platforms are designed for modular upgrades. Digital platforms now enable real-time tracking of resources across global supply chains. And by embedding circularity, we're shrinking our environmental footprint and driving innovation. There are notable examples in ASEAN where oil and gas companies are embracing circularity within their operations. For instance, several companies in the region have begun integrating circular economy principles by reusing materials, recycling waste streams, and adopting modular designs for equipment. In Malaysia, Petronas has piloted initiatives to recover and recycle processed water and industrial plastics, while also collaborating with local partners to repurpose decommissioned equipment. In Indonesia, Pertamina is exploring the use of bio-based lubricants and the recycling of drilling muds, aiming to reduce landfill waste and extend the life cycle of operational materials. These efforts demonstrate a growing commitment among ASEAN oil and gas companies to move towards circular, resource-efficient business models that support both environmental and economic sustainability. The circular economy is about empowering communities, creating new jobs in recycling, upcycling, and repair. It's about turning waste into wealth and challenges into opportunities. Now, a just energy transition means workers and communities must benefit from change. It means reskilling, supporting local supply chains, and engaging communities in project planning. Examples include Equinor's Just Transition Centre in Norway, or Shell's Powering Progress initiative in South Africa, and Chevron's partnerships with technical colleges in Texas, who are all preparing workers for the jobs of tomorrow. In Southeast Asia, Ipieca members are investing in local training as regions shift away from carbon-based fuels. Our new guidance on co-use opportunities in renewables combines energy generation with agriculture and nature-based initiatives. It maximizes social, environmental, and economic benefits, and our updated sustainability reporting guidance now includes just transition indicators, enabling transparent tracking of support for workers and communities. But let's remember, the energy transition is about people. It's not just about what we're transitioning from, it's about what we're transitioning to. It's about ensuring no one's left behind, that every worker has a pathway to a good job, and that every community shares in the benefits of progress. It's about listening, learning, and building trust together. The collaboration is the engine of sustainable progress, and this month, Ipieca and the ASEAN Council on Petroleum and Energy, ASCOPE, signed a memorandum of cooperation that will see the two associations join forces to advance sustainability in the oil and gas industry across the region. By combining Ipieca's global expertise with ASCOPE's regional leadership, we can deliver real value to member countries, accelerating progress towards net zero, protecting and restoring nature, strengthening community resilience, and fostering transparency. These collective efforts exemplify our commitment to turn shared goals into tangible outcomes, inspiring confidence and momentum as we shape a more sustainable future together. And around the world, partnerships between industry, governments, academia, and civil society are multiplying, scaling renewables, advancing CCUS, sharing circular economy practices. And these partnerships accelerate regional progress and scale impact, enabling realistic and sustainable energy transitions. So let's build on this momentum. Let's create more platforms for dialogue, more opportunities for joint innovation, and more ways to share knowledge across borders. The challenges we face are too big for one company or one country to solve alone, but together we're unstoppable. So in closing, I'd just like to urge all ASEAN stakeholders and global partners, let's strengthen regional collaboration and invest boldly in innovation and adopt inclusive strategies that leave no one behind. By focusing on practical solutions, cutting methane, protecting biodiversity, advancing the circular economy, and supporting workers and communities, we can move from ambition to action and from action to lasting impact. The journey ahead is challenging, but with shared responsibility, bold leadership, and sustained collaboration, we can deliver a sustainable energy future for ASEAN and the world. Let's make it happen together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brian. and it also showcases, that achieving just energy transition is very much a systemic issue where you need to consider all of the social, environmental, and economic aspects. And why I say it's very timely is because if you attended the joint opening ceremony, you probably heard that ASEAN has released the new ASEAN Plan of Action for Energy Cooperation for the year 2026 to 2030. So we have stored our ambition in that new APIC where we integrated all of the decarbonization strategies that you mentioned earlier, CCUS, methane management for the energy sector, especially for oil, gas, and coal, as well as exploring alternative energy like sustainable aviation fuel and hydrogen and so forth. So we have transformed those ambition now already to action plans, and we will wait for the impact to happen, as you rightly put there. And thank you very much for all of the audience for your kind attention, and thank you once again, Mr. Brian Sullivan. Yes, we will have a break for 5 minutes, and then we will continue with the next panel session for oil and gas business strategies, where we will hear Mr. Brian Sullivan again, and then and then from Malaysia Gas Association, as well as the ASEAN Council on Petroleum. So please enjoy a short 5-minute coffee break before we adjourn for the panel session. Thank you very much.